Hello, and welcome to Have At Us, reviews for your pleasure. And I'm Nietzsche.
I'm Joshua.
This is episode 22. The third episode, the final episode in our Lord of the Rings trilogy episodes. But this is the Return of the King episode. We're going to spoil anything and everything about this mediocre movie trilogy.
I'm going to need you to find a better descriptive word than mediocre.
I can only use one word, or I can use multiple words.
One word.
I get one singular word. I mean, mediocre is the best word here. I got no other word that describes this trilogy. I guess we should get right into walking through the story and how offsetting the whole first scene is.
The first scene.
Mm-hmm.
Which part exactly are we talking about?
We are talking about how it's Smeagol as not, Gollum.
Okay.
They're on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what is happening? This is so stupid. This is so little, too late, and I don't even really get a great backstory to that. Like, I just don't really care. You could have cut the whole thing. It was a waste of my time.
I mean, honestly, you could cut it. I don't believe it's actually essential to this movie, but I don't really have a problem with giving a little bit of background to Smeagol, showing him gain the ring, his fall into his corruption and depravity. And, in the first movie it says, 500 years he's had this thing. In 500 years we might look like that. You never know.
In 500 years, I hope to be dead. Long dead.
You might not be.
That would be tragic.
So, this could be educational for you.
This could be educational for me. No, it's just stupid. That's what it was. I was immediately like, oh my gosh, really? You just started, I feel like, in the worst possible fashion. I was expecting something good out of this movie. I was like, you had the whole first movie being mass amounts of setup, and the second movie was still a decent amount of setup with, Helm's Deep in there. And the Ents saving the day, making it much more enjoyable. And then I was like, well, we're going to have a lot going on in this film. It's the longest film. And then you start with that. You just start with, Smeagol murdering someone over the ring.
Yeah.
Wow. How engaging. How exciting.
I'm not trying to say that it's like an amazing scene, but it's perfectly fine.
Nope.
It's better there at the beginning than at some weird point in the middle of the movie. That's for sure.
It didn't need to exist in this movie. It should have existed in Fellowship. At the first time you talk about him.
You probably could have put it in Fellowship, except I suppose the technology wasn't there for it. But, I agree that you could cut the scene out. But, again, it's fine. I remember when I first saw this movie, I was a little surprised about it. Like, what the heck is this? Who is this person? And then, you figure it out pretty fast. But it's a little weird because it's unexpected. But I don't think it's bad.
No, it's a bad start to the film. But then we go into... What do we go into? The stupidness of...
Saruman.
Oh, is that where we go? We go Merry and Pippin?
Oh, I suppose we see Frodo and Sam first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, waking up.
Yeah, we see Frodo and Sam, and they're still wandering their way along.
Yeah, it's just a little catch-up. It's a little, how are things? Not great, but we're going. Food's running low.
Yeah, the same as always. It's just things are dire and bad, and they're marching their way towards doom.
Quite literally, Mount Doom.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. When I said it, I was like, oh, wow, that was a bad choice, wasn't it? And I was like, okay, yeah, your section of this is not interesting. I'm never engaged in Frodo and Sam. Ever.
The whole movie?
Yeah, I just don't. In any three of these movies, I cannot think of a time where I'm engaged with them at all.
Interesting.
Their journey, I feel like, requires more detail or for me to be inside of one of their heads. And I don't get that, and so I just am bored.
That's the nature of a movie, I suppose.
And, Gollum is fine. It's an interesting thing that they have to work with him, but that dynamic is introduced and immediately becomes not that interesting after that.
I've always felt that it would have been nice to have a little bit more development with Smeagol being nice to the group. But, in Two Towers, he acts friendly and oh, go away, my evil side. And then he's, on good terms for a little while. But it's really not for that long. And then it's all right, now I gotta kill these hobbits. And I suppose that makes sense. But it would have been nice to have him be a friendly force for a little bit longer. But... it is what it is.
Nah, he needed to die earlier and not come back at the end. He came back at the end and I was like, I do not remember this.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember this at all.
Wow.
Man, this is such a letdown that you're not already dead. Oh my gosh. But we're just with them for the short little catch up, and then we get Merry and Pippin, right?
Merry and Pippin and meeting up with Aragorn.
Meeting up with everybody else, coming over. And that's fine.
Saruman dies, Wormtongue dies. Now that's drastically different than those character fates than in the book, but...
Is it? What happens in the book?
Oh, Saruman goes and, tries, to burn the Shire, and then I think, Merry and Pippin, go and stop him or something. It's been a really long time since I looked at it, but it's drastically different.
I was just happy I got to see good old Treebeard again.
Yeah, a little bit.
I was like, yeah, my friend, Treebeard.
That whole scene, I think, is also cut in the standard edition, theatrical edition, which is really weird, because you're like, oh, what happened to Saruman? Not important. How did we get the, the Palantir, or...
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, however it's said. Don't know.
I still don't exactly know what that really is, because we never wanted to explain that, and why, Pippin is so drawn to it, and I don't know. There's a whole deal where I was like, okay, I mean, you want to take them alive, but I know that's not going to happen. I don't remember anything really about what this movie was until, I watched it again. But I was like, nope, not going to happen. They're going to die somehow. Okay, great.
Got shot or stabbed. One or the other.
Stabbed multiple times. 3 times by Wormtongue, and he falls off and gets impaled. That's a nice shot where he's impaled and it rolls down into the water.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I like that. That's probably the best thing up to this point in the movie.
Fair enough. Get rid of Saruman, clean up that loose end, essentially, regroup, and then we go back.
Yeah, and then they're all sitting there. Where are they at? They're in Rohan somewhere.
Well, they go back to the capital, where, Eowyn and everybody's at. And they're like, okay, well, Pippin sees through his vision that Gondor is going to be attacked, and they're like, all right, well, we need to go help Gondor. And then you get Theoden, who's like, did they come and help us? Hell no, we ain't helping them.
He implies that he doesn't want to help them.
Yeah, He didn't
say he's not going to help them. He says, where was Gondor in our time of need? Right? He asks the important question.
Where were they? Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question, but, we got bigger things to worry about than something so petty.
I don't know that that's actually petty.
In the face of certain doom of humanity?
We don't know that this is the certain doom of humanity. We are assuming it might be, though.
Assuming it most probably is.
But we don't know that, okay?
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's not 100% for certain here.
Okay, well...
But they got that, the whole scene with them, not able to deal with the stupid black orb thing, and, I didn't understand why, Aragorn grabs it and then it, starts messing with him.
Well, there's a lot of power going through it.
Is there? Is that the assumption we're making?
You see, you see that there's the whispering and the black speech from Saruman to these people.
Now, if you don't watch this with subtitles,
yeah,
how do you know when there's random whispering and when there's whispering in black speech?
You listen.
You listen?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know black speech?
Yeah, it's real funny. Uh-huh.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I didn't feel like that was a good deal. Because I just started to be like, man, I just want to move on. I just want to be done.
I like that Gandalf sleeps with his eyes open.
I feel like he did it because he knew that something was going to go wrong. He was like, these kids are idiots. Because he expresses his anger frequently towards, at least Pippin, being a moron.
Well, he does express a lot of frustration with Pippin. But actually one of the things I like about the movie is their relationship between Pippin and Gandalf. And how they kind of come to terms together at the end. And I think it's pretty touching.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's touching about it?
You see that Gandalf cares for this guy despite his flaws, which are many, and that he can still see the good inside of him and still trusts him enough to help out and whatnot. And Gandalf's an old crotchety old man, Sometimes you just gotta express your frustration. And, this is the most frustrating of all hobbits. Or the most inquisitive. You are the worst. It's pretty funny. But I like their little relationship in the movie. I think it's pretty good.
Oh, no. Didn't care. The best scene between them was going right before they go into Denethor. And he's over there. He's like, how about we don't mention this or this? Or, look, okay, just don't say a word, okay? I need you to just shut up.
And it doesn't take long for him to break that. Like, well, good instruction following skills.
But his facial expressions there, they're so good. Where he is just like, what? Okay, maybe. Okay, you just said, oh my.
You understand what he's thinking. You're like, God damn it.
Yeah, I get it, and I think the acting is good, but it just makes me think, Pippin, why are you so stupid?
Some people are just born stupid.
Mm-hmm. That whole deal happens, and then him and Gandalf ride out.
To Gondor, yeah.
Yeah, and then everybody else is gathering to go help Gondor's aid with our horse rider friends of Rohan.
Yeah.
Right, that's what they're doing?
Well, they're back there waiting for Gandalf to get, those signals lit.
Oh, yeah.
So that they can convince Theoden to send aid. And so you really just kind of get them hanging out, waiting.
Yeah, they're just hanging out, doing their thing, and then you go to Aragorn, over there flirting with this girl.
He's not flirting. He's just...
He's a little flirtatious sometimes. A little bit. And I'm like, Aragorn, buddy, what is your problem?
I don't think he's being flirtatious.
The scene where he's like putting the blanket onto her.
That's just being caring.
I don't feel like that was being caring. I feel like he knew that was a bad option, and he did it anyway.
I think
right next to the fire. She can't be that cold.
Well, he had to start the fire back up.
He didn't start the fire back up. It was already going. He moved the log so it would keep going.
Well, yeah, I mean, he didn't start it. That's true. But either way, it's a small fire. She's a fair distance away.
No.
I don't think it's flirtatious to be like, oh, she's probably cold. I'll, help her out.
Aragorn disappointed me.
Okay, well, that's not surprising. You're probably disappointed by everybody, so...
Basically. Gimli did not disappoint.
That's good.
He stayed on the same level.
Is he your favorite character, then?
I don't know that I'd call him my favorite.
But top tier.
He's probably the funniest character.
Funny. That's fair.
So, he's generally, when he says things, I'm like, that was kind of funny. Or I make a good laugh about it.
Yeah.
That's what he's got going for him.
Fair enough.
But I don't remember him being great, like, the last times I watched it. So, that's just a sign of, like, I'm becoming an old man. And I'm grumpy.
I mean, you will be a Gandalf, but no one will actually like you. So...
Oh, Gandalf is a much nicer person than I am.
Yeah.
By all accounts.
Yeah.
But then they finally get the beacons lit. Right? After their political nonsense with Denethor, and I was not engaged in that. I was just like, I don't care. This is not interesting. Denethor seemed like a bad guy, even before I knew who he was.
Denethor, my favorite name I've heard for him is Dickathor, but I'm not taking credit for that. But I thought that was a pretty good name.
No, it's just kind of mean. He's clearly just a tyrannical person who doesn't understand or care anymore, and he's given up on the hope of everything. He's just defeated.
He's given up hope. He goes a little mad. He's a little insane. He's not very polite, or, he doesn't show a lot of care for his second son. Like, that one doesn't matter.
I mean, Faramir, whatever. I don't know why Faramir put up with it, is my problem. Like, I feel like Faramir does not seem like the type of person who would just put up with that. Like, I feel like he'd just abandon, like, being the captain and just, like, protect, the people as he saw fit. That's the kind of person he seemed to me.
I mean, your dad's the steward, so you are born into, like, a noble house, and you have some sense of obligation to uphold the honor of, your family, and you do care for your brother, and then you're a captain of Gondor, and you want to, help your people through that. I mean, I feel like it makes a lot of sense why he would be what he is. And that he's troubled with his relationship. I mean, fair enough. Doesn't sound like an easy family to deal with, but I don't think it made plenty of sense for him to do what he does.
No, I wanted him... It felt like a plot device, right? I wanted him to do more than just, like, basically commit suicide and kill a bunch of his men. Right? That makes no sense. If you care for Gondor, right, and you're riding out on suicide mission...
Yeah, it's definitely what it was. Everyone knows that's what it was.
Right, you don't do that. Right, maybe you say like, oh yeah, I'll do something. And then you don't leave. You're just like, we'll defend the city. We'll be here when they come, because that's what's about to happen. I'm not wasting valuable men on this fool's errand.
I agree it's a bad choice. He should have probably defied orders there. Especially with Gandalf in the city. You could have got away with it. But I also understand you're stuck in a hard place and sometimes you're going to make bad decisions.
No, it just seemed like an out-of-character decision for someone who was so loyal to his city and wanting it to go well. Right? But then he goes on his stupid, mission to retake whatever part of the river nonsense. And then his horse just drags him back.
It's a little like
that's
right.
A long distance out there. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know what his injuries actually really are. I mean, he's got 2 arrows in him. So, he's got internal hemorrhaging to some degree. He also has probably got a concussion or, had multiple by the time his horses dragged him back.
Yeah, probably.
Doesn't look like the nicest, smoothest, section of, field over there.
That's one of those moments where I go, this is a fantasy movie. I don't really believe that someone would make it back from that. But I'm okay with it. Because it's a story.
I mean, if he just, fell on top of his horse, right? He gets shot twice and he's, leaned on the front of the horse. And the horse brings him back.
Maybe that's what happened, and then he just fell off towards the end.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's make excuses for, that.
I'm just saying, if that was your only defense, then it's like, that could have happened. We don't know.
It could have happened, but you didn't show me anything either way. You should have. I didn't get anything. And so again, I was like, oh, maybe things are... nothing's happening. Again. Because this movie is just set up until, the very end. And then it's not even that interesting in the end.
But that charge, though, with the music...
The charge.
Yeah, the suicidal charge.
Oh, where they're riding out. Okay.
Yeah.
You really liked that.
Yeah.
No.
That's a pretty mesmerizing scene.
That's a what?
The song... and the music that plays, and then you add in, the effects of, the arrows being drawn, and, Denethor eating his fucking tomato, like an animal over there. That scene is an amazing scene. That's one of those songs where I just start singing it every now and then. That's just a good song.
I am in shock that this far in, we are already at a scene that's like, oh, this is so great.
That's a really good scene.
That is not great. I will maybe allow you to argue that it's good, but even then, I feel like that's too much grace. I will give you, I like the sound effects of Denethor eating, mixed with everything else. It really captures, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's just over there doing his thing and eating. But other than that, there's nothing noteworthy of this.
Man, you're insane. That is another extended edition scene. And I remember when we got the extended edition as a child and seeing that, I was like, why was this not in the original movie? This is so good. That would have been so amazing to see in theaters and hear that on that loud speaker system they use in the theater. That would have been amazing. Hearing that in something like IMAX, that'd be so good. Oh my god.
Wise, it wouldn't have done much else for me, I feel like. I mean, the mood music is good. I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's not exceptional. It's not praiseworthy for me to be like, wow, this was so fantastic. This was mesmerizing. For real?
Yeah.
That's the word you used?
It's not exaggeration. I really think it's that good.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why you gotta lie to me frequently.
Somebody has to.
I mean, do you get into the grand praises you need to, get to?
We'll get to them.
Oh, okay. Get all the things lit, right?
That's a cool scene, too. I'm not trying to praise the scene. I just think it's a cool system. It's a cool scene. I like how we go through the whole process. And we see all of them. And then you see the guys out there in the middle of nowhere. And you just think, wow, I hope that pays well.
It's pretty crap.
It's not a fun post.
But then Aragorn sees it, and he's all excited. He runs in there, and I was like, woo, yeah.
The big control it.
Yeah, he's very excited, though.
Yeah.
So then they start, getting ready to go to Gondor's aid, right?
Theoden's like, we'll answer, round up everybody, send out messengers to, other peoples. Not that other people come, but, we try.
Some of them come. It's just the Frostborn people or whatever get mentioned as, the failures. They sent nobody.
How sad. But yeah, round everybody up, start marching. Let's go. Go to war, and you get Merry over there I'll fight, comes an esquire. And then, he gets himself a little pony.
I don't know where that pony was later, though. That's my problem.
Well, he had it when they went to the camp. And then he's picked up, after he's told he can't go, by Eowyn.
He's picked up by Eowyn. Before that, he's told by Theoden over here that his men can't bear him along on their horse. Where is his pony? Is that gone?
What's the idea? the pony couldn't keep up with a full
You don't know
horse.
that? He can't stay inside of it and get there a little after everybody else? Like,
He just this one, oh, don't worry, we got backup. And then they look at the hill. And then Mary just sews up on his little pony. And he's like, I'm saving the day, guys.
I mean, how far behind can he really be?
I don't know. It's a 3-day march.
Yeah, which means the horse isn't going all out the whole way?
No, I think realistically on long marches, didn't you want to like dismount, then walk the horse for a while, then you'd get back on, and then do like a jog, and then you would get back off and then remount. Like it's a whole thing.
I don't know, that sounds reasonable to me, but here's the deal. I just assume that the pony could have got him there well enough. Right? It just makes sense that the pony could probably get him there just fine.
I'm not really sure.
It just seemed weird. If he had just done it because he was like, I don't think you're, suited for war.
Well, yeah, but
That would have made more sense if it was like, you're too short.
well, I think that's part. You don't want to go out and just call someone short like that.
I do, all the time.
Yeah, and we've already established that you're not a nice wizard.
I mean, I'm not a wizard yet either, so...
I feel like you got nothing really here. Like, it's not that big a deal. He's saying, no, you're not up to the task, because you're a hobbit. Eowyn, she's like, nah, you can ride with me, and we'll go together. It's all good. Now, she proves that he could have just got there fine on another guy's horse, because they both got there just fine.
She's a woman, she weighs less.
That is true, I guess. She's not a particularly big woman, but I don't,
All weight matters on a 3-day march on a horse, I'm telling you.
Maybe so. Maybe that's the difference.
Anyway, that was ridiculous. I was like, okay, I'm not believing this either. How great. But before that, right, we get Aragorn having to do his stuff.
Yeah, Elrond comes.
Elrond, my good friend Elrond, comes, I guess.
And he's like, here's a cool sword.
I was so confused, okay, because Elrond's like to, what's his daughter's name, Arwen?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta get on the ship and go, it's the last ship.
Yeah.
Okay? So we've established it's the last ship. She says, nah, not going on the last ship, as we all knew she was going to in her weird vision status of her having a child. I don't know, whatever. That was weird and I didn't really care. I knew she wasn't getting on the ship, so I just wanted to get there and move on. And then she goes back, and there's like, it's deserted. There's nobody there. There's Stelrond.
Yeah.
And then when we reforge the blade,
There's two elves.
random guys here.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that one myself. I've always been like, maybe he just had them on reserve, just in case. He's like, well, maybe I need 2 more elves. It's a little weird.
It's also weird to me, because then at the end, we have 1 more ship.
Oh, the very end of the movie? Well, that's also like years later, and that's like, I feel like that's like multiple thoughts. I think you get, the ring bearers among the elves. Your 3 cool elves.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, we're gonna be the last ones, and we'll make sure everybody else of our people are gone.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, he's telling Arwen to go, right? Because she doesn't have a lot of time personally, right? Because her light's fading, which I think is her, like, elf blessing.
Yeah, weirdness that doesn't make a whole lot of actual sense because we didn't explain it. Got it.
Right. And so I think it's like, all right, you only have so much time. And then we see, like, her hands grow cold and everything. Like, she's now mortal, and she's tied to, like, the fate of the ring and, and all that.
Because, evil presence still affects her dramatically somehow. I don't know. That was my gripe was, last ship leaving, she misses it. But then there's still these 2 guys hanging out, and then there's another ship at the end.
Well, you also see, when Aragorn's crowned, you also see, like, a whole delegation of elves that are still left. So it's not like every elf is actually gone.
I mean, it's fine, but then there'd have to be another ship for those elves, because there's only the 3 cool elves, Bilbo and Frodo, who get to go on the other ship, right?
And Gandalf.
Oh, Gandalf. Yeah, Gandalf doesn't matter. Gandalf's just cool to be cool anyway, so.
Yeah, true. I mean, I assume there was probably another. Or maybe they were already on the ship.
I don't know. That whole deal, like, if you just hadn't brought it up as, like, a big plot point, I would have moved on. I would have been like, oh, it's not all the elves left. But because you made a big deal about it, I was really concerned for it. But at the end, I was so done. I was just like, when does this movie end? Never. Oh my gosh. Well, we can get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, but Aragorn and his people are off doing their thing. Have we missed anything with Frodo and Sam
Well,
up to that point?
at this point, they're basically traveling. Sam overhears Smeagol talking to himself, being like, "Oh boy, I can't wait to kill these," or let them die. And then they start fighting. Frodo's like, "Nah, we gotta have him. We need a guide." And Sam's like, "Well, we shouldn't trust him." But Frodo's like, "Nah, it's okay. We can trust him. No problem. He's trustworthy. Just look at him." And then they, continue on a little bit more. They get to the stairs, which, is more of a ladder.
There's only one point where it looked like actual stairs. And that's when Sam falls down them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that actually looks like stairs.
It's a pretty steep climb. I would be a little scared to walk up those stairs. I would look at that and be like, I kind of want to try the Black Gate again, because this looks pretty sketch.
It was a whole weird section, and they're climbing up, and Frodo gets deceived. You know what my problem with that scene was with the breadcrumbs? My problem was that he puts it on top of him.
Yeah.
Right? Not like inside his cloak. No, on top. He stands up. He's made a bunch of movements, and you're telling me that these breadcrumbs stayed on there. The wind is pretty bad up there.
Crumbs can stay on clothes easy.
The wind is so bad up there.
Yeah, but they can get lodged in the fabric and whatnot.
I don't know. I wasn't believing it.
That's pretty believable.
I wasn't believing it. There was a lot of crumbs still left on him.
There's a fair bit, but whatever. I mean, it's not that big a deal.
He didn't push them in there. He lightly drops them on there.
So, crumbs stay, man.
I don't think that they would have. I think they would have come off when he stood up, is my problem.
I mean, if he'd used glitter or something, it would.
I mean, if he used glitter, the orcs would have seen them from 10,000 miles away. And just shot and killed them.
I don't really have a huge problem with the scene. The weirdest part to me is he throws all the lembas bread off the cliff, and then when Sam finds it, it's they're all kind of near each other still, and I'm like, that doesn't seem too likely. But again, it's a story. It doesn't really matter.
No, I didn't even care. I was just like, great, you're gonna go back up and save the day somehow. I don't care. I was just so bored with it.
Yeah. I don't know, I think it's a pretty good scene. You get Gollum succeeding with his little plan.
I kinda wish he had done something. As they were passing up and he successfully got Frodo to turn against Sam.
He smiles at him.
It's not enough. We didn't make a jeering comment or something, or
you stupid fat hobbit, or something. As he,
just something
refers to him.
Just something between him and Sam to let him know, yeah, I got this. I won. You suck.
Yeah, but Frodo was also right there.
He was climbing up.
Yeah, you don't let that slip.
I think you could have. It would have made sense.
I think the scene's fine. You get Sam over there. He's, he doesn't take it super well.
He's all dejected and sad and, oh, how touching.
It's a sad scene.
It's not sad.
I think so.
How is that sad?
Well, I really feel for Sam as a character. I think he's a good character, and I feel sad for him.
He's a loyal guy.
He's a good guy, yeah.
But, I don't feel sad that he's not gonna, continue up after them or something. What are they gonna do? Murder him? Push him off the cliff?
Okay, well, you're really showing your robot tendencies today.
I just don't understand. I don't feel like it was sad or tragic. You knew Sam was gonna come back even if he left the party.
Okay. There's a lot of points in movies where something's gonna happen, but you still can feel bad.
No, I don't have to feel bad if it's that predictable and easy.
Okay. Well, I think it's sad.
Yeah, because you're Mr. Emotive over here, who thinks everything's the most magically great scene because it's Lord of the Rings. I guess we'll transfer back over to my good friends, Gimli. Just good friend.
Yeah.
Really, I pluralized it, but...
Yeah, it's just Gimli.
Just Gimli.
Yeah, you'd get along well with the dwarfs.
No, I would not in real life get along well with the dwarfs. But I like Gimli in this.
Yeah.
Who plays Gimli?
That would be John Rhys Davis, or Rhys, or Rhys.
John Rhys Davis. It's a good guy.
Yeah.
I've decided. Good on you, buddy. Anyway, but then they go into the mountain, right?
Indeed.
Gimli and company. Yeah,
well, Aragorn gets the sword that's reforged, kingly sword, proves his heritage, all that cool stuff. And Elrond's like, well, you need to go get your ghost friends.
But that just makes no sense. We've never talked about this up to this point. And I was just like, okay.
Did you want them to spend an hour on them in another movie? talking about these things that aren't relevant until now?
I wanted some level of exposition at some point on a lot of things, yes. Like, these movies just feel incredibly long, and I feel like I should have got some information and not been like, oh, these are ghost people who were cursed by a Isildur. How? I'm not exactly sure, but he cursed them. Oh, okay. What battle was this? How many of them were there?
What if the movie had opened with that instead of Smeagol? Would that have been better for you?
That could have been better. Or we go way back to Fellowship.
Yeah.
And we have, like, in the very beginning deal.
Yeah.
Where that long scene.
The intro.
Yeah, you could have done a longer scene and set up a bunch of stuff. So that then I kind of knew about it. You know, I think it could have worked.
I think it's perfectly fine the way it is.
Nah, I just had too many questions because I wasn't engaged enough. How many of these people are there? Like, how long have they really been here cursed? Could Aragorn have touched them before he had the sword, or did he need the sword? Is the sword magical? I don't know. And is the sword just Isildur's sword?
Well, we know Isildur cursed them, so it's been, 3,000 years.
It's been so long. Like, I don't know. It didn't feel great. I think the atmosphere of going in there is good. It's well shot.
Yeah.
And everything about that works really well.
It looks nice.
But besides that, I was not engaged. I was like, okay, finally we're getting to the ghost people. I remembered kind of that you guys exist.
They're very green.
I mean, I feel like that's just, limitations of effects.
Yeah.
But it still looks fine.
It works.
So I'm not gonna really complain.
Honestly, I think they look pretty decent. They hold up pretty well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It still looks fine. But then they agree to help, and you're like, ooh, yeah.
Well, I really like when Gimli's, blowing. Her hands away, she's like...
It's pretty funny. He's so afraid, if he touches it or something, it will go wrong.
That's a pretty amusing scene.
It was funny. Gimli, I'm telling you. Gimli's my friend, so...
But you get your confrontation between them. You get a nice little laugh from Mr. Leader of the Ghosts.
The king, I assume.
Well... He wouldn't be. Maybe the Ghost King, but that I don't know.
Yeah, he was
really
a Ghost King or something. He's got a crown on and stuff. Come on.
Yeah, I don't really know what the backdrop for these people are, other than betrayers and.
Oh yeah, look at that. Already read some details that we could have had.
They say enough. They're like, okay, these people betrayed Isildur and ran off. Didn't help. They're cursed, so they're not the most trustworthy people. What more did you really need from them?
The actual story of how this happened.
That'd be nice, but it's a movie.
Yeah, it's an incredibly long movie that doesn't feel like it tells me anything.
It's 4 hours. I don't think they needed to add another 15, 20 minutes.
I don't know. I wasn't having it. I was checked out and not happy. And then we get them, taking out the Eastern kids.
Yeah, the ships.
Which was a fine scene.
They killed Peter Jackson.
I didn't particularly enjoy that Gimli was kind of just like, nope, you're going to kill someone. Oh,
whoops.
I was like, buddy, why did you do that? What was the point of that?
Why not? They're all going to die anyway. Might as well have a little fun with it.
I mean, he was having fun. Maybe Legolas wasn't having fun. Maybe Legolas was like, oh man, I wasn't supposed to kill that guy.
I don't think Legolas is like, smart. That was a good idea. That's what he thinks.
I don't know. But then they, swarm them.
Get the ships. And then you don't really see them for a little while.
Yeah, they're gone.
And then from there you really just get a big invasion scene of Minas Tirith.
Yeah, which was just not that interesting. The heads thing was interesting.
Probably a pretty good tactic, honestly.
And just, tossing their heads over there.
Yeah.
Thought that was pretty good. My confusion on the Gondor side here. When they catapult things out, it's pieces of the city that are massive. Just massive chunks.
Yeah, stone.
How did you move those into that? How many people does that take?
I think it's a team of two. Two guys. I mean, honestly, it probably took a fair bit.
That's just a bunch of wasted effort, I feel like. How did you get them? How do you move them through? I don't know. I just became real nitpicky about a lot of things.
You could also just have a storage near each of these, and then, oh look, we're getting sieged. I don't know that that's a proper verb, but whatever. And now we get to use the storage that we have. Seems pretty believable.
I don't know. I got nothing on it, and then I was kind of like, those are massive and ridiculous, and I'm not feeling it. Because I'm just in nitpick status over here.
Right.
But they start their battle.
People start dying, get the Nazgul come in, throw some people off the higher parts of the city. Pretty far fall.
Yeah, they come in, they wreck shop. The one breaks Gandalf's staff.
The cool guy.
I did not understand how you just get to randomly, basically, internally combust staffs.
Magic?
Does he have magic? I don't know if he has magic. I don't know much about this guy. He's cool and threatening and apparently can't be killed. And then gets killed.
Well, he can't be killed by a man. That's the line, Nietzsche. Man, you gotta pay better attention.
I understand that's the stupid line. Yeah. How exciting. That was really clever and not funny. Ha.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty cool invasion. I really like when Gandalf's telling the people, like, no matter what comes through that door, you're gonna hold your ground. You're gonna show how brave you are. And then it's just these, like, armored trolls coming in. You just know that that's a bad time. I'd be fleeing. I'd be like, nah, I didn't sign up for this. This is too much.
I'm not like that Gandalf takes charge. Like that Gandalf was like, nope, back to your posts. We're gonna fight. We're gonna make this work. And like shows that he's a good leader. But I already believed Gandalf was a good leader. This doesn't endear me to him any further. It just tells me you're the same good character.
I also really like seeing Gandalf with the sword just like in his staff, just swirling around, kicking ass. Pretty cool. And then you get a nice little scene of Merry helping him out, saving him from a upcoming orc and killing it. It's a nice little scene. But I think,
Wouldn't that Pippin?
Wouldn't
that be Pippin?
Oh, yeah, it is Pippin. Same person.
Basically.
But I think the siege is cool. It's a cool battle. It's a big siege. Again, big action set. It's cool.
You know what really bothered me? The big wolf battering ram thing.
What's your problem with that?
Why the entire battle just stops for that? Why?
What do you mean it just stops? Like
the orc people are just cheering.
Well, they're people
like,
in the back.
Woo! Yeah! Whatever the name of this stupid thing is.
What are they supposed to do?
I mean, you already are laying siege. You've got towers and things.
There's orcs already in those siege towers.
Yeah, you're not trying to do more or be better.
There's a lot of them. Are they all supposed to be in one single tower?
No, they're all supposed to be trying to continue the battle. And then on the other side, they're just standing there. Well, this is bad. We're not going to be trying to take anybody out or do anything anymore. Really?
Well, they're raining down arrows to the people they can reach.
They were before that. But then once you pull out the big wolf thing, nobody's firing any shots anymore, at least on camera.
Well, that's just because you're trying to get a shot of this wolf thing.
Nah, I was like, okay, I don't know why the whole battle feels like it's at a standstill now.
I just think that's being realistic when you have a lot of people on the field. They're not all going to be in action at once when you're sieging a city. Not really how a siege works.
Everybody stops on both sides. I appreciate that. That makes more sense.
I don't think the other side stops. You just don't see them.
I mean, they're all having to run down to the gate, but you don't leave any people who just taking people out up top. There's no archers up top.
There was people up top still dealing with the siege towers.
Those scenes are before.
Okay, but they didn't just go away. You'd still have some reserves up there.
I don't know. I don't see it. And so I was like, I don't know. You made this whole scene feel like everything stopped on both sides.
I mean, you're just seeing one part of a battle. You can't see the whole field going on at the same time.
You could have given me some cuts. Show me something instead of making it feel like everything just stopped.
Okay, well, I don't get that feeling.
No, that is the feeling.
Okay.
Everything feels like it just stops, and you're like, wow, how do you ruin, like, an action sequence? This is how you ruin it. Good job.
All right, well, you're crazy. It's fine.
I am correct. So that's the reality of life, and it's sad that you feel the need to belittle me and call me crazy just because you can't handle the truth over here. Thought we were adults here, and now I'm just learning that you're just some fanboy over here defending your fandom.
I am a little bit of a fanboy for these films.
I know.
That's not false.
But I don't know if there's anything really of note for the rest of the battle scene, is there? Like, you got any other great things you need to say about it?
Well, you get like Denethor, who, is trying to burn himself, and his son, even though he's alive.
I mean, it's crazy. It's bad. I didn't expect anything good, though.
Well, I mean, I would hope you weren't.
And then, but once Pippin had said, like, oh, he's alive, I was like, oh, yeah, he tries to burn him, doesn't he? And I was like, oh, yeah, that is what happens. I was more interested in, like, why these soldiers are just like, nope, we're just gonna do it anyway. Like, who cares?
Well, I think these guys are like, even while the battle is raging down in the city, these guys are up at the top, still just standing in the same spot. Like, I think these are like, we don't move unless we are ordered to move kind of dudes. And then they just follow orders blindly. Not the best choice, maybe, in the situation, but that's your job.
I don't know. I was like, wow, you guys suck. You guys are terrible.
It's pretty messed up. But you get Pippin coming in, saving the day, getting Gandalf coming back, saving Faramir. He gets to live. Good for him.
Oh, yes. Good old Faramir. Living, getting his maiden woman over here. Oh my gosh. I did not remember that at all. And I didn't feel like it made any sense to me. Like, I feel like maybe in the book it makes sense. There's some more interaction and, like, we kind of had a longing look.
Well, you know, books have a little bit more time, a little bit more screen time.
Yeah, and then he just comes up and they're, like, basically a couple. And I'm like, okay, whatever, guys. I don't.
Yeah, I think that's clearly just a quick, like, well, we need to get this in somehow. That's easy.
I don't know. They didn't make sense to me as a couple either. I would never have picked those two and been like, they're a couple. I'm shipping that. But whatever. I was just like, I don't know. I don't care anymore. Because I was just nitpicking everything.
But other than that, the siege going on. And then finally, Rohan shows up.
Yeah, good old Rohan shows up. I appreciate that Theoden's speech is not like, you know, we're riding into victory. We're going to do good things. It's like,
Yeah.
buddy, we're all going to die.
Yeah, he just
But
screams
you know what?
death. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Right now for glory. And then he just screams death and everyone's like, yeah, time to die. Let's go. And then you just charge in. That's a great scene.
I don't know that I would say it's great. I think it's well acted and well written. Whether they took that from the book or whether they made their own thing out of it. Because he is at no point like, I'm like, this is a good idea, guys. We're all going to come out of this in victory. He's like, nope. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And, yep, let's go.
Yeah, their charge, though, is really cool. They just come in, make a pretty big dent in the forces of evil until the Oliphants show up. That puts a little bit of a burr in the plan.
Yeah, but he, like, rallies them to them, and then they still go in, and they charge on the Oliphants.
Yeah, that's really cool how they're, like, weaving in and out and trying to take him down. And I like how the Oliphants just have, like, a bunch of arrows in them. I think that's a pretty cool scene.
It's a decent scene. The one thing with that I feel like was weird is once Legolas is out there, and it's like a cool scene that he takes one down. But it's also just like the dead people back here, they're coming along, and then they go and kill like 4 of them in like 2 seconds, it feels like. And you're like, I don't really feel like that was necessary besides your showboating. But it sets up the good line for Gimli to be like, that still only counts as 1. And I was like, buddy, that does only count as 1. I 100% agree in your competition that I still don't need. One Oliphant is 1 Oliphant.
Yeah, that's a funny line. That's a good moment. It's definitely a scene that's just like, let's just have Legolas do cool shit. People, you got some people here watching this movie just to look at this dude. He's gonna do some cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I like how Legolas shoots 3 arrows into the Oliphant's head.
Oh, does he? I didn't notice.
Yeah,
that.
he's taking 3 arrows. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna need a couple more.
Okay, I didn't notice that. Nope. I was like, okay, cool. But basically, they saved the day, right? Everybody is good.
Well, I mean, you skip over, you get Theoden dying.
Oh, yeah. I guess we should talk about, whatever her name is. Arwen. Is that her name?
Eowyn.
Arwen. Arwen's better than her by miles.
Okay.
Leagues.
All right. But
Not even in the same level.
And you get Theoden, he's thrown, and he's crushed by his horse. Not looking too good. Probably hurt. But maybe you don't feel anything at that point. That's the hope.
I don't know. But she goes and defends him.
Yeah, she does quite a bit on this. She hurts an elephant pretty well, Oliphant pretty well. She's taking out orcs. And then, Witch King comes up, and she's like, I can do this. She gets hurt pretty badly in the process. And she definitely gets big major assist from Mary, because Witch King's all grabbing her, and she's gone her there. But then Mary is like, fuck that, stabs him in like the back of the leg, which knocks him down, stuns him, and then she's just like, fuck that. Here's a sword in your face. It's a cool scene.
It's a scene that is there to show that, like, the people who weren't supposed to be here are cool enough to be here because they did something grand and wonderful. Which is fine. It's kind of cool. I just don't really think that, like, I can't be killed by a man. Well, I'm a woman. Oh, you're dead? That was weird. It doesn't feel like her as a woman changes anything about him dying.
It doesn't really make sense. I'm pretty sure that's also a movie interpretation.
Yeah, I think if he had just been cocky and confident and been like, oh, I'm not gonna die, you can't kill me, and then she just, boom, comes in and does it, I'd move on.
I think that's the intention behind the line, but,
I don't know. It was a weird...
It is what it is.
It was a weird deal.
I don't really have a problem with it, personally. I thought it was cool when I was younger. It's just a neat moment overall, just because I just think it's neat. I don't know.
I just don't understand why she gets injured either.
Well, you had a big mace slam into your shield arm. You're definitely gonna be hurt.
She stabs him and then is, like, feeling pain.
Oh.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I get that when a shield breaks from a mace, like, you could legit have broken your arm, but...
Yeah, that's just another thing of, like, there's mystical powers and things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Details, yeah, that'd be cool. But it's also, like, it's a movie. I accept that this is a fantasy world, and fantastical things are going to happen. And I'm not going to necessarily know all the details in a movie.
Could have given me more details. But you didn't, and you never will, unless I read these books.
You should read these books.
I feel like what this has done, rewatching these, has made me feel like reading the books could maybe help me understand what people really love about Lord of the Rings. Because maybe the books actually provide me a lot of details.
Give you the context.
To what I want, and are more engaging. And I like reading more than I like watching things. So I'm already going to be more engaged.
You own these books, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I own it in the big set of all 3 books. And
that's what I got. I got the big omnibus.
I don't like that system, but it was free, so I moved on.
Free.
Anyway, are there any other important things we need to talk about in the battle scene?
In the battle?
Anything else that I, glossed over in my boredom?
Well, I kind of wanted to mention, I like the design of the orc with the skull on his head.
Oh, he's got, like, it piked on there or
yeah,
something?
That's a cool design. I really like that, dude.
He stands out.
Yeah.
Because he's there, like, in a lot of scenes, and so he stands out.
He's got a cool design. I liked him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Mr.
Jacked up face and...
His whole body's just kind of jacked. I don't really know what the look is supposed to imply with him, but...
I don't know. I remembered him.
He's memorable looking.
Because I remember his spit scene.
Oh,
where he stands off to the side and he spits on it.
Well, he tells everybody, you're not going to move. And then he's like, oh, shit. I gotta move.
I respect that he stands there and waits, though. He's like, well, I will move the most minimal amount. I respected that.
That's optimization. That's DPS optimization right there.
Oh, is that what that is? You can get one more spit on the rock. But yeah, he's the leader guy. He's cool, I guess. He's memorable. That's what he is.
Cool design. I like his voice.
It's fine.
But other than that, the ghosts come in, save the day. Gone, Minas Tirith. We held. We win. For now. We're cool.
Yeah, I like that. Like that at the end when the Ghost King is like, all right, we did what you wanted, buddy. You better release us. And Gimli's over there like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Like, it'd be useful in a pinch. I'm just saying. And Aragorn just looks at him like, you moron. And then he releases them.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I like that. Gimli, being funny.
Gave him his word.
So, I really only cared that Gimli was funny. That's all I cared about with that scene.
Of course.
I assumed Aragorn was going to release them afterwards. I didn't go, Aragorn's a tyrant king. Never in my mind did that thought come across.
He's just like, I did say that, but this isn't the end of the battle, so we're gonna need you a little bit longer. Now maybe that would have been useful, as Gimli says, but...
Yeah, not happening though.
But I guess we should cut back over to Frodo and Sam.
What have they done now?
Well, they get to the top. We meet Miss Spider.
Yeah, who only gets a name within the subtitles. Shelob.
Good old Shelob.
But that scene is fine. Frodo's acting there, or who is that? What's his actual name?
Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. All I had in my head was Orlando Bloom, and I was like, that's Legolas.
Yeah.
That is not the same character.
Same actor, actually.
But yeah, his acting in that whole sequence is really good. Like, I feel like he's legitimately afraid and, like, running through these emotions. And
I would also be very terrified. When I was a child, I'm not a spider guy. Don't like spiders, they terrify me. I'm not quite arachnophobic. I can go over and kill a spider. But I don't like them, and if they're near me, they need to die. That's my feelings. Always felt that way. And I didn't know that there was a giant spider in this movie as a kid, right? I haven't read these books. I'm like, I don't know what's in this cool tunnel. Something bad. Oh, it's a spider. That's giant. Just what I wanted to watch. Oh, that was creepy.
I mean, the spider is creepy, and it's good. Now, I like spiders, because they're my friends, like all things, because I let everything live. But the spider's creepy. Like, it does its thing. I like that we finally use his gift from Galadriel.
The star.
Yeah, their brightest, coolest star.
That's a cool star.
Which isn't really that bright, and I was a little saddened.
It could have been brighter looking, but
I just wanted it to be like a flashbang type effect. Like, brightest star. I believe it. Yeah.
That could have been cool.
And it just, like, blinds the spider, and it runs away, and then he's trying to do his thing. But I don't know. It works. I like that he's, over there fighting his way through.
I like how Smeagol and Gollum is over there. It's like, oh, you caught in a web. Oh, no. Uh-oh.
I mean, he makes it seem like he's, like, on terms with this spider or something. Like, the spider's not going to attack him. I don't know. Makes it seem like him and the spider have a deal or something.
That's definitely not it.
That's the impression I get.
He's just very stealthy.
I don't know. But he makes it out. Galadriel helps him again. Again, the woman helps him out.
Galadriel's, she's looking out. This guy's back.
I mean, I appreciate that she is more involved than basically all the other elves. Besides, like, Legolas and the detachment at Helm's Deep.
Legolas. He wasn't really useful. He didn't do anything.
But, like, I appreciate that she's, doing things, being helpful in ways that she can be helpful. I like her.
Yeah, she's cool.
I like her involvement in the story, I guess.
But Frodo makes it through.
Yeah, Frodo finally makes it through, and then Shelob comes out.
Well, first you get Gollum confronting him.
Oh, yeah, where he should be dead.
And then he's thrown off.
Should be dead.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's going to survive that kind of nonsense, it would be that. It would be a creature like Gollum.
It wouldn't. He would be dead.
But Gollum's thrown off. Frodo's like, this didn't go super well. I don't have my sword. I don't have my cool star. I just gotta keep going on. And then Shelob's like, nah, I'm super stealthy. I'm a big creature, but I'm still pretty stealthy over here. And then stabs, poisons, or
I appreciated how slow Shelob moves, though.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like
stealthy.
She was actually being stealthy, despite the fact that you're gargantuan spider. It worked. I believed it. And then he gets screwed over.
That's a gross scene. As a kid, like, man, I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch somebody be put into a web, this whole spider thing. Ugh.
Oh, it's fine. It's whatever.
It's just gross.
Then Sam comes up.
Sam
Saves
the man.
Dang day, buddy.
He comes in with Sting and the star, and he's like, nah, I'm cool. Gonna kick your ass. And then he does. But, not easily. But he puts up a fight.
He wins.
Wounds her, stabs her in the eye. Then like
twice or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then like the abdomen, or I don't really know what part that's called on a spider. No idea. But stabs her, she flees. That's a cool scene. It just shows the bravery of Sam. Samwise the Brave, really living up to his title.
Yeah. I didn't connect the title to that. I just went, okay, buddy, good job.
And then he's like, oh no, Frodo, you're dead. Oh, there's orcs coming. I'm gonna take this ring. And then the orcs come and they're like, this guy, he's alive.
It seemed weird that it doesn't seem like he cut open enough to grab the ring out. There's a touch that I was like, okay. Like, I'm pretty positive you grabbed the ring, but visually it doesn't look like you grabbed the ring.
Yeah, because you want to surprise the viewers, I suppose.
I don't know, I just feel like it was an oversight.
It could be. I think it's probably just a trying to surprise the viewers thing. But I also don't feel like it's that surprising. It's like Sam's smart enough to know, well, I probably shouldn't let this ring fall into the orc hands. That would be a very bad idea.
It would be bad. But he gets captured. He's up in the tower. They all fight over the shiny shirt. But that guy lives.
That's pretty funny. He's like, that shirt, give it to me, it's mine. And then it just starts a whole brawl. Just everybody's getting in on this. And killing each other. It's a madhouse. But he does get away with the shirt. Temporarily, as we, can infer later. But he gets away. Frodo no longer has his mithril shirt.
Doesn't have any clothes.
Doesn't have any clothes. And, that's not good. But Sam once again comes in, storms the keep with his frying pan and his sword, takes out some more orcs.
I mean, it is what it is. It's pretty predictable. I knew basically what was going to happen. I forgot that they got captured. I was like, oh, okay, I don't remember this at all. And then they get to, wander around in the orc armor.
That's gotta be really hot and heavy.
I feel like all I thought was, man, you had to take this off dead orcs. Like, how bad does this smell?
Like, I never thought about that, but
you're
probably pretty bad.
Encapsulated in this smell.
Oh.
It'd be bad.
That's probably not too pleasant. You're also just in a really hot place near a volcano, so that's, it's warm. It's all black, so it's just absorbing heat. This is just a good time. It's definitely what I'd choose to wear.
Absorbing heat from the light that's not there. The blackness isn't going to affect anything unless there's light.
There was a star in the sky, Nietzsche. There's a whole little thing. Uh-huh.
One star. No natural light.
Maybe it's the second brightest star.
It's not. But anyway, they do their thing. They get caught up in the marching thing.
I really like the Inspector. That's a cool little orc.
The Inspector.
He's not really little, but he's cool.
I don't really feel like he was notable to me.
I just like his design.
I've already forgotten what he looks like.
He's kind of like a bluish one, and then when he opens his eye, he's got like a dead eye look going on. It's all white.
Okay.
I really like the design. I think it's pretty cool.
I guess. But then they get out. I don't really feel like that was that interesting.
They start a little fight.
But nothing from them is basically interesting for the rest of the movie. I'm not really interested in... I'm not really interested in anything for the rest of the movie, basically.
So, yeah, you leave them for a moment. You go back to Aragorn and his council. They're like, well, Frodo and Sam, they need a diversion. There's a lot of orcs over there. We're going to help them out. We're going to form a diversion. Get another good Gimli line.
Do you?
Yeah, where he's just like, well, no chance of success, certain death. What are we waiting for? Let's go.
Yeah, that was good. He's funny. Yet again, my good friend Gimli.
But I like that little moment. I think it sets up. I feel like it all just comes together really well. You're like, oh, there's a lot of enemies. How are they going to get through? Oh, of course they're going to cause a diversion. That makes sense. Why didn't I think of that? I just like how it all comes together there at the end. I think it all coordinates really well.
It makes sense, but it just feels like padding. It feels like extra length for no reason.
Seeing them plan?
No, them having to go to the gates and do this whole deal, and it just feels boring to me. I was like, okay. And then Aragorn over there uses the Palantir thing or whatever, because he's so cool, and then his cool necklace from Arwen breaks, and I'm like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, it shatters. That's unfortunate.
It just suddenly breaks off his neck and shatters. What? I don't really understand. Like, I at no point thought that Arwen was gonna die.
I'm not really sure how that all plays together proper. I'm not really positive, to be honest. I agree it's a little weird, because you see it on his chest, and then when it falls and shatters, it almost looks like he was holding it. It's a weirdly directed moment.
I don't know, I was just like, okay, you're not going to tell me what the significance of anything really is. I don't really care. This woman's not dead, so whatever. It doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, it's significant to him.
Yeah, it's significant to Aragorn. Aragorn is just the white knight good guy that I'm no longer interested in. Good on you, buddy.
Guess he is a little bit of that.
He is definitely that. He's not just a little bit. He's the poster child.
Well, I mean, in my mind, like a white knight, and in true fashion would be like a really courteous, gentlemanly kind of dude. And he can be a gentleman, but he can also be a little rough and uncouth.
I don't know that I would use the word uncouth to describe Aragorn in any fashion or any of his actions.
Probably not a lot, but still, I don't think of him as like as a true white knight. In action, he's pretty much just that. That's fine.
Yeah, and it's just not very interesting. But then they go and they meet up at the Black Gate, and you got your, stupid scene where he rides up over there.
He's got all of his his council rides up again. Merry, Pippin, Gimli, Legolas, Gandalf, and then just a standard bearer. I thought, that's a cool guy. Just got a flag. He's just riding up with the flag.
I was like, okay, whatever.
I just like the detail of there being this extra.
That's fine, but I was like, man, is this going to end soon? I was waiting for the end at this point.
He's just still got a little while.
I know. But then the weird thing comes out, the creepy thing that he cuts the head off of.
That guy is a good guy.
And I like the design of that.
It's a pretty gross mouth.
It was neat looking.
That's definitely a pretty gross looking guy.
They're doing their negotiation thing, I guess. I didn't really feel like that was negotiations.
Yeah, it's not much of negotiations.
And he cuts his head right off.
Right. I mean, the major thing about the scene is he has the mithril shirt, throws it at Gandalf, and then he's implying that...
He's not implying.
Yeah, he's saying that Frodo died.
He stated that they tortured and killed him.
Yeah. And so Aragorn, though, he's like, nah, I don't believe it. But his line is like, I won't believe it. But you can see that he's really conflicted anyway. It's one of those cases where I think you have to choose to believe that didn't happen. Because if it did happen, you're screwed anyway. And if it was a lie, then you gotta fight for the small chance of it so that you still give them the chance of victory. Which is what they do.
Whatever. I was like, okay, I guess. And then they ride back and they reform their line and then he gives his little speech, right? Oh, do you have great things to say about this speech that I've already forgotten?
That is another really great moment.
Okay. Let's hear what's great about it.
It's a lot of it comes down to the line delivery.
Mm-hmm.
Really stuck with me. It's the I see now inside of you. It's the idea that he sees that fear and then that that take the heart of him. Like, it's a really powerful speech to me. I think it's delivered really well. And then it's just the whole scene of them, like, charging. All of that together really comes together well. I really love how, he looks over at them and he's like, for Frodo, he goes in. And then I really like how you get Merry and Pippin are the first after him to run. They're like, we're going in. Like, the smallest people, they're going in first. Really showing, that the heart of bravery inside these hobbits. They also get overtaken pretty fast, which I like that detail. I like seeing Gandalf, this old guy, just running in with them. Like, it all just looks really well coordinated. It feels really emotional. It's a cool little battle. It's a moment where you're like, this is everything. This is the last we can do in life. Like, we're probably gonna die here, but this has to happen, and we're gonna do it for our friends, and we're gonna do what's right, and we're gonna show the bravery of men, of humankind. It's just a powerful moment.
It's not.
It's really good.
It's in no way powerful. At any point. You know what the best part of that is? I never thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf. Or whatever his actual line is.
And then Legolas is, how about a friend?
Yeah, I know what Legolas' line is, but I don't really care about Legolas. Legolas is there to be there.
That's a good scene.
That's the best part of it.
It's another pretty common meme.
Is it?
Yeah.
How do you meme that?
Nature. Memes come in many forms and in many places. You're just not creative. I'm telling you.
I know I'm not creative.
It's a pretty common one, though.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But that's the best part about it. And then we're finally approaching the actual heart of Mount Doom with Frodo and Sam. And he carries him up there. And I'll give you, I appreciate that he carries him.
That's a cool scene.
It's not really, super great, but it makes sense, and I moved on.
It's a good line. Again, it's good delivery, and it's just like, you know what? I can't carry your burden, but I can carry you. Let's go. And he just shoulders him up there. That's probably a pretty rough walk. You still got a bit of a climb to go. That's a lot of work.
This mountain looks so far away at all times. Even in that scene, it looks a good, 5-10 miles out.
In that scene?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think it looks that far from that point.
Oh, they gotta go down and they gotta come back up. Still. He's got to reach the top of where he's at there, and then he's got to go all the way down and then all the way back up to reach there. And it still looks pretty far away, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Bit of a trek. It's probably pretty hard with a person on your back.
There's no way he makes it. Right, that was unbelievable to me, But then they finally get up there. They're so close. And you're like, can we just move on?
Well, Gollum says no.
Please move on. And then Gollum's alive. Woo! Gollum's alive. How exciting.
Now you're saying you didn't remember him coming back.
No.
So you were surprised when he was there?
I mean, I don't know that I would use the word surprised, dejected, upset.
You're like, yeah.
Unhappy. All of those words might work there. But you could use the word surprised, because I didn't actually know that was coming. But some part of me was like, something's going to make this take so much longer than it needs to.
Of course. That's why you got your friend Gollum.
And then he gets cut in that scene. And then we all just run away.
Frodo's on the
Frodo's
run.
already ran away, but Sam runs away, I guess. Leaves him there thinking he's dead, or I don't know. Like, I don't know why I didn't get a scene there that explained how he still is alive after that. Like, I believe you could get cut and live. Sure. But why did Sam just leave him?
Maybe assumption, maybe he was just trying to get to Frodo because he's worried.
I don't know. Wasn't having it. But then they have their whole little standoff there where he, like, can't drop it. And then Gollum comes in and bites his finger off. And then finally the ring is destroyed, basically.
You know, that was the one spoiler I had of that movie before I watched it when I was young. This would have been 4th grade, and I was leaving class for the day. And it was like Friday. And the teacher was all like, oh, before you leave, we have to form a line, and then you have to, say what you're doing this weekend. I don't really know what the purpose of this was, but we have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid, who was also named Joss, I'll have you know. Because there was actually 3 of us in that class that was Joss. And we're going up, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go see Return of the King. And this kid behind me is like, oh, I just watched that last night. Frodo gets his finger bit off at the end by Gollum. It's pretty cool. And, and it's like, okay.
That's jacked up. That's a good story, though, but that's jacked up.
Yeah, the only thing I was spoiled on. I knew nothing else, but I knew that.
I remembered it before we got there that he got his finger bit off, like when they were tussling. I was like, oh, he bites his finger off. That's right. And then he slips and falls.
Yeah, that's what happens.
But not like drastically before that did I remember that. What I really wanted to have happen in this scene was I wanted Frodo to not be able to drop it or like kind of like struggle with it and then drop it and then realize, no, I don't want to do that, and then try to catch it and then fall and then make it where he had to let go of the ring in order to keep his life because Sam comes up and saves him. Or die. He could just fall and die with the ring. That also was acceptable.
How would you feel about Sam being like, nah, and just pushing him in?
I mean, I'm fine if Sam at the end realized that Frodo was too far gone and was just like, I can't save this, and so I have to save Middle-earth and dropping him.
That would have been a pretty crazy scene, actually.
I would have liked that. I would have liked that a lot. There are so many other directions you just could have went with this ending bit.
My favorite is people who like to criticize the movie, or the trilogy. And you get the scene in the first film, in Fellowship, where Elrond's like, oh, I was there. And then he was in the same place with Isildur. He just lets Isildur go.
Yeah, why the elf doesn't pull his bow and just, boom, you're dead.
It's like, Elrond could have just saved a lot of trouble for everybody. Just been like, look, guy, he slipped.
Straight up, though, I saw that scene and I was like, why? Okay. You don't even have to lie about it. You don't even have to lie. I murdered him for the sake of Middle-earth. You're all welcome. Because Elrond would. Elrond wouldn't lie to these people, I feel like. I feel like he'd own up to it. He'd be like, he was corrupt and jacked up, so I shot him in the head, and I dragged his body over the cliff along with the ring.
Maybe so. It doesn't bother me, because I accept that Elrond's like, I think he probably has some, like, moral, like, that's not the right thing to do, to kill this guy. He did just kind of save us, so maybe not the best look. But it's also pretty fair to criticize it and be like, bro, you could have just saved us 3,000 years of trouble.
Yeah, but
you just fell.
He doesn't care.
It's funny.
No. I saw that and I was like, why do you even do this to me? That just makes it feel worse. Makes it feel less enjoyable, knowing that you could have solved this problem. And now, what are you doing? Evacuating your people because you don't care anymore.
I like to think he feels some regret of being like, I really fucked up that day.
But he doesn't say that. I don't know that.
He's more composed than me.
I mean, he's an elf. He's just better than you in general.
That's true.
Not better than me, because I'm a righteous man.
And a robot, so you'll probably live as long.
Okay. That's mean. That's a low blow. But then, Sauron has his weird, eye seizure thing, which then drops the ground and nonsense. And then the day is basically saved, except Frodo and Sam are now stranded in the lava. And you're like, oh, how sad.
How will we save them? The Eagles, of
Oh,
course.
I guess the Eagles come in before that.
The Eagles do come in the battle so that they can fight against the Nazgul.
And I like the Eagles. I just want to understand the Eagles.
The books.
Like, they are connected to the moth. Questionable choice. Because moths are creepy and awful. Could have been a butterfly.
You're okay with spiders, but the moth.
Moths are creepy. Okay?
Okay.
I still let the moths live. They just get escorted outside immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you accidentally, kill it, you're like, wow.
I do not accidentally kill
Wow.
things. I'm a righteous man and a nice person.
Yeah, you're the White Knight.
To the animals? Pretty much, yeah. Anyway. But they just, come out of nowhere, and now there's magically 5 of them, and not just the one, and I'm just I don't understand. Do they have names? Are they cool? Are they like an ancient, beast tribe or something? I don't know what they are. I was interested in them, and I got legit 0. They exist.
Yeah, there's not a lot here in the movie for them. I know people really love to bring up the whole, wow, why didn't they just fly the ring to Mordor in the beginning? Thou could've saw the whole... that's the most common criticism of these films, and it's stupid.
I don't necessarily think it's stupid. I just go, the Eagles seem to have some innate knowledge of what's happening in the world.
They're not stupid. I
don't know how, but they do. So I don't need them to, from the beginning, be like, no, you guys suck. We will save the day. They put some trust in this group. And then when things start going bad, maybe they show up and they help out. But they wait till the very, very last bit where they're like, wow, I guess.
Yeah, people also like to bring up them as an analogy for America and World War II, a really common thing. But I know Tolkien really hated when people would say that. He was really against the idea that this had anything to do with World War II, from what I understand. But people kind of interpreted the Eagles as being America coming in at the last moment and kind of helping to save the day.
Oh, I just assumed that if we were if we were going to make an analogy out of the Eagles, that they were angels. Because they're connected with Gandalf, and Gandalf is very clearly like a Jesus or angelic figure if we want to go there.
Right.
And so I'm fine. I don't really care. I don't need it to be connected there. I mean, he was a pretty staunch Christian man, so it's not going to surprise me if some of those things are accurate.
Yeah, Tolkien definitely was. That hit him and, supposedly he was friends with, what, J.K. Lewis? That's
C.S.
C.S. Lewis, not J.K. C.S. Lewis, I can't keep the acronym straight. C.S. Lewis.
Clive Staples.
Who was, is that his name?
Yeah.
Clive?
Clive Staples Lewis.
That's an old name. Clive Lewis over there. He was also very Christian.
Yeah, and at the latter point in his life, yeah.
Yeah.
But he, not in the beginning. They were friends before he became a Christian. He helped him become a Christian and stuff.
Pretty interesting.
So, him and a couple other of the professors over there. But anyway, I like those as facts. Not really relevant. The day is saved.
Woo, did it!
The Eagles, I like that the Eagles are massive, though. Just massive.
They're big
and then
boys.
they come along, and it's I'm gonna pick up one of these. I don't got the ability to carry the, destitute, sad, 3.5 foot tall creature.
No.
Ooh, no.
You gotta share the burden.
Yeah, I'm just if you're riding on top, sure, it doesn't look like you quite have enough space to, effectively ride 2 people on top.
You probably could.
Maybe. But I would take that, but they don't ride on top. They just picked him up and thrown him on top. I would have respected that.
Dropped him onto another eagle.
I'd take that. But anyway. And then you're like, oh man, can we finally reach the end? And you're like, no, we still gotta wrap up Aragorn. I know we have to do that at least.
Yeah, you still have another common complaint is how there's 4 or 5 endings in this movie. People to complain about, and I'm like, I wish there was more.
I just don't like the elongated, black screen for one of those. I'm fine with we gotta wrap things up, but let's not sit here and, fake the ending that we know isn't actually the ending.
They hold that a little long.
It's held for 5 to 10 seconds.
It's a little weird, but whatever.
But anyway, Is the next thing Aragorn? Is that where we go after that?
You get the eagles, and then you get Frodo waking up, and then you get all the friends.
Oh, yeah, and they're all so happy.
Yeah, it's just a little happy scene.
Yeah, whatever. I moved on. I was like, this isn't that great. And then we get to Aragorn being king, right?
You get perhaps the best moment in all of film.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you what the only great part about this scene is.
Let's hear it.
The only great part about this scene is that Arwen, that's the elf girl, right?
Yes.
Comes in, and I like that, and I really, really like her dress. The color of it was just really nice to me. It was very visually appealing.
Well, the costuming is great. It is a nice dress.
So that's the only really great thing about this whole scene. Other than that, oh my gosh, what a waste of time it was. But let's hear what you think is so magically great about this.
So from the crowning to them going back to the tower, so that it's like a 2-minute scene maybe in total. 2.5, 3 minutes. Not super long. But I genuinely think that might be my favorite scene in any movie of all time.
Any movie of all time.
It's that good to me. I actually really love... I cry every time I see this.
Did you cry when we watched this?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I didn't notice. I thought I should look, but I didn't.
I have never once not made it through that scene without crying.
Where do you start crying?
Basically, once you see, like, the hobbits, and then he says, you bow to no one.
You start crying there.
Oh, I can't help but love that. It's so good. But the whole scene's good. You get the crowning. You get Gimli over there looking pretty cool. He's special. I like that. And then you get the crown on, and he turns around. He's looking cool. He's got a nice outfit. Very kingly. And then he starts singing. And there's something about the singing in these movies that I really like. You get the funeral scene in Two Towers. The humming that Aragorn does in Fellowship. You get Pippin singing his sad song earlier in this film. You get this song. It's all excellent. But this is more excellent.
Oh, it's more excellent.
This is the best one.
Okay.
It's really awesome. The music, and then it carries through as he's like walking along. People are acknowledging him. I like how you get like the guards in front of the like common people, but it looks like the whole city is here. They really jam-packed the top of the city full of people. So it just looks really packed. You get the detail of the white tree now has flowers on it.
Well, it has a flower before that.
Right, but now it has like not a whole bunch, but a fair bit more. So that's a nice little detail if you're looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get like the elf delegation coming over, and you see, Legolas, and they have their little reunion. You get Arwen come in. That's a nice reunion.
And she has a better crown than everybody else.
I don't know that that's a crown, but it's like a hairnet piece.
I don't know. I liked it.
It's pretty cool.
I really liked her look. I was loving everything about that.
I don't know if it's when they're kissing or if it's like right before when you see her. But one of the guards, you see a guard, like a Gondor guard. And it looks like he's kind of laughing or something in the back. And it looks really funny.
Oh, I didn't notice.
I don't really know what's happening over there. But it's just kind of a funny look. But anyway, you get all that. That's all great. But then you walk over to the hobbits. The 4 of them. They're all together. They got some nice clothes on. And then they bow to him. And he's like, no. You bow to no one. And then he's the king.
Mm-hmm.
And he bows to them, and then everybody bows to them.
He takes a knee to them, though. Like, he's down there.
Like, this is a really respectful movement.
Because even to Aragorn, they were given the, like,
Yeah, this is like a really...
bow.
This is a deep, respectful bow.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody does it. And then they all... Like, you got Merry over here. He's kind of smiling, but, he's awkward. And you get that, like, this... You get Frodo, and he still looks kind of sad and, like, lost. And it's a face that really compels me. Because you would expect these guys to be really happy, but it focuses on him. And he looks kind of, like, humble still. It's really good. You got Pippin looking real silly. And kind of like, whoa, this is kind of crazy. And Sam's looking confused. It's just it's directed so well. And you get that fading shot where you see everything. Still got the good music in the back. Oh my god.
No, it's just not that impressive. Look, Aragorn gets crowned. Let me tell you what I thought about this whole scene here. Aragorn gets crowned, Gimli's there, my friend. And then, I'm like, okay, great. Can we move forward? You're gonna have to have Arwen come up. Can we get there? Please. Finally. And then she shows up, and I'm like, oh wow, you look grand. Like, that's really good. I'm really liking that. And then he kisses her. Like they have multiple kisses, and like it seemed like a really, heartfelt embrace. Like, man, we haven't seen each other for forever, and it's a whole nice deal.
Yeah.
I liked that.
It's nice.
I liked that embrace there. It felt real and good. And then we move on from that, and I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. Oh, yeah, and then I know you love the scene with the bow scene so much, because we've talked about it. And I'm like, maybe this scene is really great, and I haven't seen it in a while, and I'm missing it. And then he does it, and I'm like, okay, I'm not impressed in any fashion right now. One, I feel like one of them deserves high, massive praise. Frodo. Frodo carried the burden of the ring, and he made it through, okay? Sam, I will take Sam as his loyal companion, helping him through and making sure the ring got there. Merry and Pippin, though? No. They are not on the same level of praise and adoration and greatness. Wasn't believing that. But that's because Aragorn just doesn't know what's up. He's just not as good as everybody else.
Aragorn's like, okay, we're all gonna bow, but we're only actually bowing to these two? These other... No, not them.
Yeah, he should have done that.
Yeah,
that would have helped.
That's nonsense.
But I also like in that scene, though, I'll give a little praise to it, is that he bows and then Arwen bows right in sync. And then everybody else bows. And I respected that she was in sync and knew what was up.
She understood.
It made them feel more coupley, and I liked them as a couple. I could have used more with them. I didn't really get much.
That's interesting.
It would have felt really weird, I feel like, to do more, but that's fine. Well, I don't like the weird dream sequence things. I wanted them together in the same place to clarify.
Well, I know in Two Towers, originally they were thinking about having her show up at Helm's Deep. That was like the original plan, was she was going to show up.
I'd take that.
And be a part of that. But then they were like, I have no idea how to make this happen.
I mean, if it's not correct to the book either, I don't really...
Well, the whole elves showing up is, I'm pretty sure, also not correct to the book.
Okay, yeah.
I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that's also fictionalized.
Well, I don't know. But that's how I took that scene. But then we finally get back to the Shire, right? And we're all riding in, and we got the same extra guy. But I like that he's still just, like, disgruntled and like, oh, great. They're back. I feel like that maybe that look is only for Merry and Pippin. Where he's just like, you couldn't have died while you were out there? Like, come on, guys. Don't come back here.
It's really funny how, like, the whole Shire, like, these guys just walk back. It's been 13 months since they've been gone. And they're like, oh, I guess they're back. Oh, they're dressed pretty nice. Something must have happened.
Yeah, the Shire folk, I like that there's no, like, big celebration scene or something. It really sells them as a community not caring what happens around them.
They're away from the world. They don't know.
That was good.
And then you get a nice scene where Sam, he sees Rosie.
Oh, yes. Good old Rosie.
At the beginning of the trilogy, he's all nervous with her. But then he sees her now, and he's like, you know what? I am pretty cool. I'm going to go talk to her. And then walks over there. And they're all kind of laughing at him.
But they're all laughing joyfully.
Yeah,
like,
it's not laughing
happening.
They're laughing with joy, and that's a nice scene. I like
it. It's whatever. They get married. They have kids. But then we immediately go to, what, Bilbo and them?
Well, you get Frodo writing in his book.
Oh, yes. Frodo has now finished the book.
Almost finished the book.
He's finished his part of the book.
He finished his part.
Whatever. That's a whole weird deal. I didn't need that to come back. And then we get to Bilbo, right? Even in this discussion, I just want to rush to the end. Because I just didn't care. But, yeah, we finally get to Bilbo, who's an old, decrepit man.
Well, he'd be like 115 at that point. Pretty old.
I don't know how old he is. I don't remember because I don't care. But he's really decrepit. He can't remember everything. The ring's still got a little bit of a hold on him, even though it's gone.
You still got that ring, bud? It'd be nice to see that ring. And Frodo's like, yeah, I lost that, bud. I don't know where I lost it.
But they get there, and then they all get the honor of riding away with the elves.
They don't all get that. Frodo and Bilbo get that.
Yeah, whatever. Frodo, Bilbo, and Gandalf get that. And I'm like, okay, I guess it's a high, great honor. I don't know. I don't really care.
That's another scene that always makes me cry.
What in the world? You cried this time when we watched it?
Yes.
Where do you start crying at?
When they realize that Frodo's gone away.
And you're just like sad and crying for them? With them?
like I said, I've never not cried at that scene. I remember crying in the theater multiple times. I mean, it is what it is. But I know what's happening when I put the first movie in. I know this scene is we're gonna get to here eventually. But I can't help it. I'm always feeling emotional.
I went, okay, that seems like a really weird thing. Why are you getting to go? And, like, you seem really too young to go. And I realized, like, in the books, he's a lot older. And so that maybe makes more sense to me. But I was like, okay. Again, it drives home. Frodo's the coolest guy, so he deserves more than the others. We're not bowing to all 4 hobbits. I will accept 2.
Well, all 4 are there. And they're all sad.
And they're all tragic and emotional. And I was like, I don't...
Sam's very sad.
I was like, I don't care. Can we end this? At some point. But then the other cool people are there. Gladriel's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay. I guess you're back. All right, you're leaving. See ya.
Goodbye. Nice meeting you.
Also, a lot of time has passed.
4 years.
Does it say that? Oh, I missed that. But then they all go back to the Shire, right? Well, the 3 are going back to the Shire.
The 3 go back. Sam goes home. And it ends there.
Ends with him and his kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh, finally. The end has come. And I was just like, man, that took so long. That was not interesting. I think I felt less interested in this film than I did in Fellowship. I was like trying to think through, and I was like, yeah, but Fellowship, the grace of it is that it's the first film. So I can be like, oh, we're just doing a bunch of setup for, the other 2 films. That makes sense.
Logical.
But this film, I just was like, okay, when does it end? Most of the whole time through, I was like, when does this end?
You're thinking that for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's a long movie. It's not a short one.
Oh, yeah. You got any other amazing scenes that you cry at or whatever over here?
I think there's like 6 times or something I cry in these movies, basically every time.
6 times?
Through the whole trilogy. Yeah.
I don't know that I even had a spark of a motive about anything in this film.
No, you didn't have any, like, motor oil coming out of your eyes or anything?
No, I didn't. Didn't happen.
This trilogy really means a lot to me, obviously. Now, I'm not hung up. If people are like, it's too long, it's boring, whatever, I don't really care. People can have their own opinions. It doesn't really matter. But this is definitely the definitive movie-going experience to me. You got, like, this, number 1. You have, like, Sound of Music, I really love. How to Train Your Dragon. You got other films that I really love, but Lord of the Rings is like the definitive movie experience. Movies are not my favorite medium. I think books are better. I like video games more. I like music more, probably, in the grand scheme of things. But Lord of the Rings is by far my favorite. I know other people put Godfather, whatever, at the top. And when it comes to like movie trilogies, especially, what I like about it is that all these are good. You have Star Wars, right? People love Star Wars. And I'm like, A New Hope is not that great. The other 2 are alright. And then you get, like, The Godfather. And I'm like, I've never seen The Godfather trilogy. From what I understand, the 3rd movie, not very good. And people praise these as the best trilogies of all time? What are you talking about? This is it.
I don't have a trilogy off the top of my head that I go, it's better than Lord of the Rings. But I can't think of any trilogies I've watched in my life besides this one.
And Star Wars.
And Star Wars, yeah, you got Star Wars on there, but this is better than Star Wars, as I've stated already. But I don't know that I liked this film more than I liked the 6th Star Wars film.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, Return of the King might not be as good.
Interesting.
Because Ewoks.
Because, yeah, this movie doesn't have Ewoks.
It doesn't have Ents.
It doesn't have Ents. Now, do you like the Ewoks or the Ents more?
I like the Ents more.
You like the Ents?
By far.
Oh.
I'm a big, like, forest spirit type thing fans.
Okay.
I really like in like JRPGs when we get to the forest section and you gotta like make peace with the forest. Because it's basically always there, right?
Pretty common.
And it's just so nice. You get like fairies and things and like, I like talking trees a lot. Dark Cloud, that series has a talking tree in it and he's a cool guy.
So Ents are cooler than Ewoks.
Ents are way cooler than Ewoks.
Interesting.
The Ewoks are good. They're like a shining moment in the entire Star Wars trilogy, as we've already discussed. But the Ents aren't quite as shining because you do a lot of things right in this trilogy. You just tell me a boring story and don't give me enough details.
Now you say maybe the book fixes that. Do you think with the details this would be much more engaging?
It might be. I don't know that I would go there because it's still like the originator of where fantasy gets a lot of its tropes and things, and so it's very basic. And so I don't know that I'm gonna be as engaged with like basicness.
It's definitely a product of being 80 years old now, somewhere around there. It's not new, and it's not an overly complicated story by any means. Now, people will bring up the greater lore, the Similarian, if that's how it's pronounced, I don't remember. That's all fine. It exists. But at its core, Lord of the Rings is not a complicated story. But you're right, it's very influential. It influences things like D&D, which influences video games to this day. It influences a lot of fantasy throughout writing, even to this day. People still probably derive a lot from Lord of the Rings. And so it's very important from a literature standpoint. And from a movie point, how influential are these movies? I don't really know. There's not a lot of big budget fantasy films like this. It's pretty few and far between that you get anything like this. You get the Hobbit movies, which are of middling quality. They're not awful, but they're far from great. These films will always stand out to me. I really doubt anything will ever come along in my life that I like more than this for movies. Part of that just being that they're so influential in my life, and part of that just me, having that bias and nostalgia for it. So I'll probably never really like something more than them.
I watched a random movie like 2 days ago that I enjoyed more than all three of these films. It's called Archive. We're not going to have to talk about that or go into that. But I enjoyed that more than I enjoyed all three of these films. Like, they don't stand out to me. They're not impressive. In 6 months, will I remember most of what happens in these? No, probably not.
We'll just have to watch it.
Oh, yeah, that's the answer to that. Watch them again.
Yeah, we'll watch them so many times that you just know them.
No, we will not. That will not be what happens. But yeah, I could probably, nitpick and be super negative on these things further, but I don't really feel the need to.
I did have a question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Did you have a piece of music in any of the films that you really liked in particular?
No, none of it was like stand out and like the most amazing. The best track is probably the funeral scene.
Okay. But
I wasn't like blown away.
I gotta throw a shout out to the Rohan theme that's always playing. That's a good thing. Man, I love it every time. Every time I hear it, I'm like, this is so good.
The music is good. It's serviceable, right? It's not exceptional, though. At no point do I think any of this music is exceptional.
Well, we know how I feel about that. So, I think it's great, but you're entitled to your...
correct opinion. I appreciate that.
Your lunacy.
I mean, you can get exceptional when I'm not hearing, like, the same basic song most of the movie that you're just changing tempo on.
Well, they're like themes for like the people, like there's a Gondor theme, and look, you
yeah,
got the Rohan
great,
theme.
Cool.
I think that I like that.
You have the Shire theme, which comes up way too frequently.
That's pretty good.
And doesn't really change. It's not a bad track, it just comes up too frequently. You have the main like movie theme, which gets about 12 iterations, and I'm like, okay, great. I'm not engaged by this.
Well,
it's mood setting. I think it's fine you didn't risk to do something else because you succeeded in doing what you were supposed to do with your music. But for you to be exceptional, you needed to risk something and deliver.
I will say, the one time I think the music is not at the strongest point is when we're in Sheilab's lair in the tunnel. It feels more like a horror movie track to me. And I get that that's maybe appropriate, but it doesn't fit the rest of the music surrounding the film to me. That's one track I didn't really care for. I do like it when at the beginning of this film, when you can hear like the heartbeats as Smeagol is choking out the life of his companion. Deagle, I think his name was. That's a pretty cool.
It's fine. Like, choking someone out takes way longer than that.
Sure.
And this felt particularly like a fake choke out. Like, I was not engaged with that. But I basically hated that whole thing. I was like, not having any of it, so.
I will say, there's some weird shots in that opening where Deagle's like getting dragged through the water. And then he like does this weird like drift forward. It looks a little weird. There's a couple weird shots that don't age particularly well there at the beginning. But whatever.
I don't know. You got any other grand, amazing, praised things? Any other questions you need me to answer to correct your false opinions? Or
What characters do you like?
You want me to clarify that?
Yeah, so I know you like Gimli.
What characters do I actually like?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so Gimli, Sam gets to be there.
Okay.
Because he's loyal and decent. He's not like a mate. He's like squeaking by.
All right, but he makes
to like, but he's there.
Okay.
You know, Gandalf. I like Gandalf.
Okay.
Gandalf's just a solid guy all the way through. Treebeard, my good friend Treebeard.
Of course.
Treebeard had to be there.
Of course.
Treebeard's better than everybody else, probably. If we're gonna pick a favorite, I'd probably go Treebeard.
Okay.
So, because I just think Treebeard's great. But I don't know that Treebeard's like that exceptionally great in comparison. But he's good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anybody else gets on the I like you list. Arwen can be there. In part for her grand design at the end, which isn't on her. It's on the costuming department. Shout out, you did great on that particular scene. Like, that was great. Your costuming everywhere else is good, but that was great.
Okay.
But she's a devoted woman. She makes a pretty hard sacrifice for her man. And I like that. It's a nice story. It's a good deal. Other than that, I got no one else come to mind that I'm like, I like you guys.
I'll be honest, that's more than I expected.
That's more than you expected.
Before we started this, I thought, who is he gonna like? I didn't expect Gimli.
No, you didn't think Gimli was making the list.
I thought Sam would.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just feel like it's hard not to... It's hard to hate Sam.
Yeah, he's just an all-around decent guy.
Yeah, like, he'd be a tough one. I knew, like, Pippin, you got no shot.
No, he didn't. He had zero shot.
So I knew that one was just not happening. Some of them I wasn't sure. I didn't think Boromir or someone like that would make it.
I forget about Boromir, to be completely honest. I quickly went through the list of characters in my head. Boromir didn't even make the list.
I like Boromir. But my list would basically be like, everyone. So that's a nonsense list. Legolas, I thought, and probably not.
He's just boring.
Yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of actual relevance to what's going on outside of just being there and being cool. So I'm fine with, I liked him a lot as a kid because I really like bows, and that stood out to me. I also like devils a lot. So he's cool, but I didn't think so. Aragorn I also did not think would make the list.
That's fair. Aragorn never came close to making the list.
Yeah. Now, he's my favorite. Easy. After that, I don't know. Gandalf's a good choice. Sam's a good choice. But Aragorn, he's my favorite. Is what it is. But other than that, I was just like, I don't know. I didn't think about Treebeard. Like, I know you liked the Ents or would like the Ents, but I just think of the Ents and not like, oh yeah, it's actually just really Treebeard. But that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
But Gimli is the one that really shocks me.
No, he's funny.
So
he delivers.
I appreciate that.
Every time.
Cool. I like that.
Any other things you need to try and squeak out a little praise for me for? I don't know that you're gonna get much more praise in the end. So
trying to get a little bit of clarity on where you stood on some of these guys.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Theoden is fine. He's not good though. Like he's just kind of a set piece. He's like Aragorn. He's
a character I like more as an adult. There's several characters that I don't feel like I really understood as a kid. He was one of them. I feel like Eowyn I also didn't have a great understanding of as a kid. I understand her a lot more now. But there's a couple that I feel like, honestly, when you're a kid, there's a lot about these films that kind of might go over your head in reality. But as an adult, that just means you get to appreciate them more.
Mm-hmm. Or hate them more. I feel like I probably enjoyed them more as a kid.
I believe that. I know one of my brothers, his thoughts on these movies was like, I like the battle scenes. That's about all. I'm like, well, you got no taste. That's what I thought.
I thought the battle scenes were going to save these and make them more enjoyable to me, but then they didn't.
I think the battle scenes are pretty much all good. Some of them are great. My favorite parts of the battles, though, are often the speeches. But that's because I feel like you get more character in them. And I like characters, like more than plot or anything else. Characters are what matters to me. And I feel like you get a lot of really great character moments in moments like that. So I really like speeches. Like when Gandalf and Pippin are sitting there as they're waiting for like the door to break down. And Pippin's like a little terrified of like death. And Gandalf's over there like comforting him like, oh, it's not that bad. It's just like a new beginning or a new path. But not stuff like that is really, it's inside of a battle. But like that's the best part of the battle in a way. Like it's really powerful and interesting. And, swinging a sword. That's pretty badass. I'm not saying it's not. Well, ultimately, this is an action piece. It's cool. I don't think it could ever be the saving grace of a film. If the only thing that your film has going for you is an action scene, probably not that good of a film.
That's kind of how I feel like a lot of people view these films in my head, though.
Some people.
Like, I just think that a lot of people like it because there's well done action sequences. And I'm like, okay.
Those are not real fans.
The only thing that I really think is an interesting action sequence is the War Riders.
That's the one that stands out?
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
The best one?
Yeah. It's the best one.
Interesting. That would probably be one on the bottom for me.
Because you're wrong.
I don't know what my favorite one would be, though. I don't know. Maybe the very last, when they're, like, causing a distraction. That might be my favorite.
It's not even good. Any other great things you need to go with here?
Don't believe so.
Well, it's been a pleasure discussing your favorite movie series and learning how sadly in love with it you really are. But if we have brought you some pleasure, we need you to like, comment, subscribe. This is your turn to have at us. You know? You need to share this.
If you don't like these films, I would actually really like to hear about it, to be honest. I'm curious what people think. Although, if your only reasoning is the Eagles should have just flown them there from the beginning, I'm not really interested in that answer. Any other answer, I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go ahead and you share. Share with us. Share with other people. It's important. You need to get on that.
You could go find some elves, and you could tell them about the podcast. Not just this episode, but all of the episodes. And through them, we can live for eternity. Like Nietzsche over here, he's probably going to live a long time anyway.
Sadly.
But he probably won't live for an eternity. So the elves need to help us out. We're relying on you.
Preserve us for the rest of the people so they can understand how righteous men behave and how they tolerated heathens.
And they can look back at this episode, be like, Lord of the Rings, isn't that movie like 500 years old? Man, that's old. And it's probably been remade 20 times.
Since it hasn't been remade 20 times yet, what are you giving this? What disastrously inflated score does this get?
It's going to get a 10 out of 10.
I am giving this a 5.5 out of 10.
Have at us.